Hello everybody, welcome to the live. Welcome to the live. Today we have an interesting topic, and I believe it applies to many people in the world today. The topic is fear. Fear. That's the topic. And it really does apply to the world we live in today because coronavirus, diseases, many other issues, health issues, whatever. There's lots of fear going on in the world, okay? And not just that, but fear of the unknown, of what's to come. Christianity, for example. You have many things that's going to be coming down the road. So, it's one of those things. So you just have to take it as it is. Anyway. Oh, sorry. Okay. Anyway, let's dig right into it. I believe I need to first, because I think, oh, we have watcher. Okay, very good. We have watcher. We have watcher, and hopefully they can write in the comments the verses. Okay? So the first verse is Isaiah 41:10 for the topic of fear, and I'm reading from the paper. Okay? Isaiah 41:10. Now I will of course wait until I see the first of all, we got to turn this off so it doesn't ding every time while I'm on the live, because that gets a little bit distracting. Anyway, so we will wait to see comment, and hopefully we see comment. Let me see. Okay, so Isaiah 41:10. We will wait to see if comments show up. Okay, there we go. Thank you. It's little delay, so I know that. Okay, so here's 41:10. So do not fear. The Bible says, so do not fear. Do not fear. For I am with you. Very simple statement, basically meaning, I'm with you. Why should you fear? And then it says, do not be dismayed. Now, that's a word that we don't often use in English anymore. So let's look at what the word dismayed means. Okay? Dismayed means to cause someone to feel distress or consternation. So, I love it. Consternation. Okay, so we have to look up that word. Consternation is feelings of anxiety or dismay, typically of something unexpected. So basically, long story short, consternation means roughly anxiety, which is also what dismayed is. Dismayed can also be connected to the word discouraged. So that might be, other translations will actually say, do not fear and do not be discouraged. So you can look at it that way. I'm going to look at it in this way for me. Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be filled with anxiety. Okay? For I am your God. I am in control. I will strengthen you. I will give you strength. And I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. My righteous right hand. Okay, so I want to now I want to clarify something. Okay, my righteous right hand, and I want you to. Woohoo! I love this. This just dawned on my mind. Okay. So it just said, I will uphold you, I will uphold you, meaning I will keep you safe and strong with my righteous right hand. Now there's a secret meaning in that many people don't think about. Okay, I want to clarify to you something. Where is Jesus sitting? At the right hand of the Father. So in essence, when he's saying, I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. Keyword, righteous. Jesus is righteous. He's going to uphold you using Jesus to uphold you. See? Very interesting. Very interesting when you have the knowledge of the Bible to clarify things. I will uphold you. Now let's read that again just so you understand. Jesus is sitting at the right hand of the Father, aka he's the right hand. Jesus is the right hand of the Father, in essence. Maybe not literally, but figuratively. You get the point, okay? And when you connect that with what this says, that Jesus is also the only one that's righteous, I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. Oh, so deep, so deep. Yes, so deep, okay? So, you see how you got to dig into the Word of God. You can't just read it. You have to dig into it and think about it. Okay? The second verse. 2 Timothy 1:7. Okay? Now, I have already pulled up this definition for this one. So here it goes. For God did not give us a spirit of timidity. Okay? But a spirit of power and of love and of self-discipline. Self-control, in other words. But that word timidity is not used often. So I looked it up. Here's what the word timidity means. For God did not give you a spirit that has a lack of courage or confidence. That's what timidity means. Meaning, the word timidity means to have a lack of courage or a lack of confidence. Okay? So when he says, I did not give you a spirit of timidity, you could translate that to say, for God did not give you a spirit that has a lack of courage or a lack of confidence. Okay? Or in other words, he did not give you a spirit that is without courage or confidence. Okay, is a better way for you to say that. But he gave you a spirit of power, of strength in your weakness. Not strength in you, not strength that comes from you, but strength that comes from the Father. Okay? And he gave you a spirit of love. Love through the hardships. Love through the issues. This is the type of love that does not come from the world. In other words, love your enemies. The world does not love its enemies. The world hates its enemies. Only the Spirit of God can actually love your enemy. Okay? And a spirit of self-discipline. That means self-control. Learning how to control yourself. And part of control is consistency. And I'll be the first one to admit I don't have a whole lot of consistency in my life. That's something I have to work better at. Okay? Now, before we continue, I have to say something, okay? This is something of my opinion and my feelings on the matter, but it's dealing with fear, okay? And I've said it to many people, okay? So the first thing I want to establish is the fear that I'm about to talk about right here is the fear of Satan. It's not the fear of, okay, an alligator's going to eat me, so I shouldn't be afraid for my life. No. This is the fear of letting fear consume you. Okay, consume you. The key, I want you to connect in your mind the word fear with the word consume or controlled by. Okay, controlled by. So if fear is in your life, maybe not so bad, so much bad, depending on what fear it is. Fear of you wanting, I mean, let me give some examples. I'm afraid I'm going to lose my home, or I'm afraid to be without food, or I'm afraid of this. Now, granted, you have to keep in mind that God is in control of everything, and He's going to give you what you need. But those are okay fears if they're not get out of control. You know what I mean? The problem with fear is when it gets out of control. I don't see the comment of that verse. It's 2 Timothy 1:7. So I'm waiting for the comment of that verse. 2 Timothy 1:7 is that verse that I just read. So I'm still waiting for that comment to show up. Anyway, getting back to the topic that I was talking about, there's something that I always say, which is fear comes from Satan. Now, the fear, obviously, that I'm talking about is not the fear of the Lord, which is actually respect and honor. Okay? And I'm not talking about the fear of, if an alligator's trying to bite me, I shouldn't be afraid of it. No. Hello? God put instincts in you for a reason. If a fire's trying to burn you, don't just stand there. Run! Okay? That instinct is it's called survival instinct. Understand that word, survival instinct. Okay? But when I say fears of Satan, I'm talking about the fear that consumes you. The fear that consumes all of your thinking. The fear that consumes all of your, and more specifically, the fear that leads you to make actions based on your fear, not based on fact. So there's another statement that I want to give you. I want you to use it in your everyday life. So pay attention very clearly here. Fact over fear. Okay? Many people will say faith over fear. No. That's a good one. Don't get me wrong. But this is what I'm going to connect for you. Fact over fear. See, the one thing I'm learning about fear is majority of the time, fears are constructed out of imagination, out of something that you could imagine happening, or something that you're thinking maybe might happen. And we have a guest. So I'm okay. There we go. So I'm add the guest. Yes, add the guest. Okay. So we have a guest coming on. So, but the fear I'm talking about is the fear that, like I said, is born out of imagination. Example would be, I'm afraid to lose the lover I'm with or something like that. But there's no actual fact or evidence that anything's wrong. You just have that fear. You know what I mean? So that's the fear I'm talking about. Is a fear that's based out of imagination, based out of something that's not fact. So when I say fact, you actually have to understand. Fact is something evidence of. Okay. So if you don't have evidence of it, or if it's not an actual fact, then don't act on it. Don't act on your fear. So here's some examples. Let's say you have a boyfriend, for those ladies out there, okay? And let's say your boyfriend is in a different country, and let's say your boyfriend doesn't answer the messages that you are, and it's saying adding, but it's taking a while. Maybe there's bad connection. Connection failed. Yeah, it must be bad connection or something. Anyway, so let's say you have a boyfriend. Let's say he's in a different country, and let's say he's not answering or responding back to your messages. Okay, depending on how much time there is. Let's say it's been about 2 hours and he hasn't responded. Okay, and let's say you don't know exactly what time he's going to bed. And let's say, and this has actually happened to me, so I'm using myself as an example. So don't assume that he's mad at you, or that he's upset with you, or angry with you, or he's ignoring you, or something like that, because that's being born out of your fear. It's not being born out of fact. Okay? let me put it this way. You want to act on things that are born out of fact, not out of fear, not out of imagination, not out of, well, maybe. You know what I mean? So in that example, the person, the female might go, oh, he's not answering my messages. He might hate me. Oh, he doesn't want to be with me anymore. You know, continuation of things, okay? But it's her imagination that's running wild. And that imagination is what's feeding the fear and making the fear grow until it's consuming everything about you. Now you're in defensive. Now you're like, okay, well, now I'm defensive. Now I have to defend myself and defend what I want. So now it makes you lash out of your fear. Okay? So, now that I've said that, next verse. 1 John 4:18. 1 John 4:18. 1 John 4:18. Okay? And this is a verse that I'm going to connect to love, okay? And fear as well. So I'll give the watcher a little bit of time to put that in. 1 John 4:18, okay? I say jealous. Some people say love is jealous, right? There's a difference of the word. First of all, love is not jealous. Love is territorial. What's the difference? Territorial is you're protecting what is actually yours. Jealousy is you wanting control over something that is not yours. Okay? That's the difference. Okay? And jealousy is born out of fear. It's another tactic, or it's another how would you put that? It's another child of fear. Because when you're jealous, majority of the time it's born out of you're afraid to lose something. Okay, you're jealous of this or you're jealous of that because you're afraid of losing something, whether it's communication or a friendship or a bond, or something, some sort of situation has occurred that's changed your situation, and because of that, you are feeding into your fear by giving into the jealousy. Okay, the jealousy is just making the fear become even more stronger. All right, so, but I want to touch more on this. Reason I say jealousy is the child of fear is this: fear is an emotion, jealousy is an emotion, but jealousy is in the action of. Okay, jealousy is you being jealous. See, being jealous. Key word there. Being jealous. Yes, you can be fearful. You can be fearful, and when you are being fearful, it actually is an action word as well. The two are connected. Jealousy is an action word. So I put it this way: fear always starts with the emotional side of it, where jealousy, anger, hate, all these things end up being the action side of it. Okay, so the verse says this. Listen to this clearly. There is no fear in love. There is no fear in love. And if jealousy is born of fear, right, and there's no fear in love, then that also implies that there should be no jealousy in love. And here's why. If you're with someone, one of the biggest things is trust. Okay? And where there is trust, there is no jealousy. Why? Let me put it this way. If I have a girl, okay, I might not trust the guys that come around the girl, but I should trust the girl. Right? Because that shows trust, that shows love. That is one way you show love. What is one way that God showed us love? By trusting us to be saved and to walk in His ways. He trusts us. That's His way of showing love. One of them. Okay? There is no fear in love, but perfect love. Godly love, in other words. Not human love. Godly love. Love that is not, how do I say this? Perfect love would be love that is not dependent on a situation. In other words, if you have perfect love for your lover, it's a love that doesn't matter whether or not they having a good day and treat you good, or whether they're having a bad day and treat you bad. Okay, you get the point. You're gonna love them regardless. There's an old video I did before called "Commitment versus Feelings," and in it I told you that you don't go by the ups and downs. You don't go by your feelings when it comes to love. You go by your commitment to them. And this is what evidence of perfect love. See, here's the thing. God, here's where I get this from. God doesn't choose not to love us based on if we're obedient or not. His love doesn't change depending on whether we are obedient or not obedient. Okay? His love is the same always. Okay? That means it's not dependent on a circumstance. It's not dependent on a situation. It's not dependent on how we treat him. His love for us does not depend on how we treat him. Okay? The Bible clearly says that. While we were still sinners, Christ died for us. While we were still living in our evil. Okay? But perfect love drives out. It pushes out fear. It pushes out all fear. So when you have perfect love that is not dependent on a situation or a circumstance, it will actually push away out of your heart the fear that is not good for you. And it goes on to, so listen to this. Because fear has to do with punishment. Fear has to do with punishment. The one who fears is not made perfect in love. Ooh, I'll say that again. Because fear has to do with punishment or losing something. Some sort of consequence, in other words. Fear has to do with you losing something or some sort of consequence or some sort of negative change in your life. Okay? That's where fear is born from. The one who fears, the one who gives into fear, is not made perfect in love. Hold on. Okay. So, I apologize about that. Okay, so, as I said, the one who gives into fear, as it says, the one who fears, meaning give in to fear, meaning listen to it, is not made perfect in love. They're not complete, they're not made perfect in love. Okay? In other words, they're not listening to the full capacity of what God's trying to say to them. Okay? The next verse, okay, is Psalms 34:4. Psalms 34:4. Okay? Psalms 34:4. Okay? Now, while we're waiting for that to pop up in the comments, let me continue with fear. There are many things to be fearful of. Things always change. Whether it's you're a woman and you got pregnant with a guy and you're fearing that he's going to leave you or abandon you or he's not doing his job or whatever, okay? Or whether it's, your situation in your life has changed or whatever, if you're basing your commitment to God and if you're basing how you're going to walk with God based on your feelings, you're doing it incorrectly, okay? So Psalms 34:4 says this: I sought the Lord, meaning I looked for the Lord, in other words, and he answered me. Now, notice, God doesn't answer you before you look for him. He waits for you to look for him. God offers salvation. He offers faith. But he's going to wait for you to look for it, to search for it. Okay? He's not just going to shove it in your face and be like, here, you're going to have faith whether you like it or not. He's not a forceful God. He respects that he gave you free will to choose. Okay? He delivered me from all my fears. Okay, let's hear that again. Did he deliver me from some of my fears? Did he deliver me from a few of my fears? Did he deliver me from one of my fears? No. He delivered me from, keyword, all. That means every single fear. Okay? He delivered me from all my fears. And by the way, that deliverance is a constant happening. Why? Because as situations change, new fears are created. Okay? One day you might fear losing your home. The next day you might fear losing your lover and them passing away. The next day it might your child's sick and you may fear your child dying, okay, or something. Or the next day you're having a bad relationship and you're fearing losing that relationship. Okay? The fears change and the fears are born every day. So obviously the deliverance of your fears has to be a constant thing that occurs. Okay? That's why we take everything to God. We take all our fears to God. We take all our worries to God. We take all our sins to God. We take all our doubts to God. We take all our stress to God. We take all our anxiety to God. We take all our negativity to God. We take all our dirtiness to God. You get the point. Okay, next verse. Joshua 1:9. Joshua 1:9. Joshua 1:9. Okay? So I will go ahead and read the verse, and the verse will show up in the comments for those who are watching, who want to see the verse, to know where it's at. Joshua 1:9. Have I not commanded you? Keyword, commanded. Be strong and be courageous. Now, we're going to tie these because Joshua 1:9 is tied to 2 Timothy 1:7. Okay? Here's how. Be strong and courageous. What is timidity? Timidity is the lack of courage and the lack of confidence, lack of courage, lack of being courageous. You get the connection, okay? So when God says be strong and be courageous, he's saying don't be timid. Don't be afraid. Don't be scared to have confidence in me. Okay? And if that's not clear enough, do not be terrified. Keywords. Do not be terrified. Do not be discouraged. Okay? So let's break those down. Do not be terrified about the circumstances, about your life, about your situations, about your feelings, about any of that. Do not be terrified about it. Okay? Give it to God. Do not be discouraged. Okay, coronavirus hit. Okay, don't be discouraged. Don't be discouraged. Basically means stressed out, worried. It's connected to all the same things. Discouraged. Obviously, the word discouraged, if you pay attention to the word, in the word discouraged is the word courage. Okay? So, disheartened is the word, which is another word for discouraged. But I look at it like this. When I see discouraged, I break it apart. Discouraged. Courage, okay? Courage, right? This, I look at, when I see that, I look at not. So, discouraged, not courageous. Okay? Anyway, be strong and courageous. Do not be terrified. Do not be dismayed or discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Wherever you go. Doesn't matter where you go. You go here. Doesn't matter. God's with you. You go here. Doesn't matter. God's with you. You go to jail. Doesn't matter. God's with you. You're sick and in the hospital. Doesn't matter. God's with you. Not that your life doesn't matter, but you get the point. Okay? Wherever you go, God's with you. Wait a minute. Does that mean that God's with me in my disobedience? Yes, he's with you wherever you go. Okay? He's always there, even in your disobedience, talking in your ear, talking to your spirit. And it's that little voice that goes, this is not right. You shouldn't be doing this. This is not something you should be saying. This is not something you should be feeling. This is not something you should be, what's the word? This is not something you should be allowing. This is not something you should be entertaining. Okay? You get the point. He's going to go with you wherever you go. Wherever. That means basically, he's going to go with you all the places you go. It might as well have said that. Okay? The next verse, Proverbs 29:25. Proverbs 29:25. Okay? Proverbs 29:25. Fear of man. Okay, so now we're touching on a different kind of fear. Fear of man. In other words, fear of what man can do. So people hate you. That's fear of mankind. You might have come across people to say this. Well, I don't want to stand up for the faith because I'm afraid of what people might think about me. Or I'm afraid to show my faith because of what they might think or say about me. Fear of man. Fear of man will prove to be a snare, a trap. So when you are fear of what mankind can do to you, it will be a trap to you. It will become a trap for you. But whoever trusts in the Lord, in other words, whoever trusts in the Lord's path and in the Lord's way, is kept safe. They're kept safe from the snares and the traps of the fear of man. In other words, when you trust in the Lord, you're not going to worry about what people think about you. You're not going to worry about what people say about you. You're not going to worry about what they think about you. Because at the end of the day, you're going to know that when I die, the only opinion that matters about me is what the Lord has to say. Okay? Next verse. Psalms 56, verses 3 and 4. So Psalms 56, verses 3 and 4. Okay? When I am afraid, I will trust in you. So now it's connecting not only what fear is and how, and the fear shouldn't be in you, but now it's telling you how to combat fear, how to fight fear. Okay, so when you are afraid, so it says when. That means whenever it occurs that you are afraid, I will trust in you. I will say, basically, in other words, this is what I read when I see this. When I notice I have fear, I will put my trust in the Lord and trust not in my feelings, but in what He says. Okay? That would be my translation of that part of the verse. Okay? When I am afraid, I will trust in you. In God, whose word I praise. In God I trust. I will not be afraid. And here it wraps it up. What can mortal man do to me? Okay? Remember what the Bible says. Do not fear those who can just kill the body and not touch the soul, but fear the one who can destroy both the body and the soul in hell. Okay? What can mortal man do to you? Can mortal man beat you up? Yes. Can mortal man end your life? Yes. Can mortal man take away your food? Yes. Can mortal man take away your home? Yes. Can mortal man take away your peace of mind? No. Not unless you let them. Not unless you give in to fear. Can mortal man take away your freedom? Yes. Can mortal man take away your salvation? No. Can mortal man take away your trust in God and your faith in God. No. Okay? You understand? Next verse. Philippians 4:6. I had to pause because I almost did the normal goofy mess up. So, Philippians 4:6. Philippians 4:6. Okay, is the verse. Do not be anxious. So now it's tying anxiety to fear. Okay? Do not be anxious. In other words, anxious means do not be in a hurry. Okay? Learn to slow down. Do not be in a hurry. Do not be anxious about what? Do not be anxious about anything. Do not be anxious about anything. In other words, I might as well say, do not be anxious about everything. Doesn't matter. Basically, he's saying, don't be anxious regardless what it is. Okay? Don't be in a hurry no matter what it is. Now think about that concept for a minute. How often in this world are we in a hurry? There's people that can't even wait 5 minutes to get from one point to another in a vehicle. They think about traffic, how impatient traffic is, right? Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and by petition. Petition means asking. So let me put this way. A petition would be a piece of paper you hand to a judge to petition something that you want, right? To ask for something that you want, in other words. So in other words, by prayer and asking, with thanksgiving, being thankful for what you have, present your requests to God. Okay? And that is Philippians 4:6. Next verse. Deuteronomy 31:6. Deuteronomy 31:6. Okay? Another one. Be courageous. Oh, there it is again. Be courageous. Now notice when it says be, it's implying something that you actually have to do. God's not going to automatically, magically make you courageous and strong. You have to choose to be courageous and strong. You have to choose to not give in to fear, to not give in to worry, to not give in to anxiety, and to be strong and courageous. But it's an action word. It means something that you actually have to do. And if you ever want to get curious about this, look at the verses in the Bible that you come across and look at how often it tells you to do something. Okay? Think about that. Do not fear. Do not be dismayed. All action words, all things that God's expecting you to do. Okay? So there's a thing where God gives you what to do, but you're the one that has to do it. And God will give you strength to do it, but you have to do it. Okay? You can't sit here and be like, okay, God, I want food, I want food, I want food, but I'm going to sit on my butt in my home and just magically wait for food to show up. Right? You actually have to go and get the food in some method. Okay? And God's going to help you. He's going to send the rain, whether it's planting this, or He's going to send the means by which you can go to a store and go shopping or something. Okay? He's going to provide the means by which you go and get what you need. Okay? But you still have to do it. Same as in the Bible. Think about when Simon Peter stepped out of the boat, walked on the water, right? Simon said, Lord, if it's you, tell me to come, and I will, right? And then Jesus said, come, right? He said a word. He gave an order, right? But Simon Peter still had to choose. Simon Peter still had to make a decision and a choice and an action in response to what God said, okay? But this verse again, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them. Okay? Because of them. Talking about people and the world. Okay? For the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you. He will never leave your side. It may feel like he's not there, but he's always there. And that is a trick, by the way. Why does that happen? Think about this. If you feel that God is not with you, like you're feeling like he's not there, then that's going to cause you to fear, which is what Satan wants. So I say it like this, okay? And this is something I'm learning. Woo! I love it. Preach, 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 God, preach. Woo! I love it. Okay? He will never leave you. So if you're feeling like God's not there, you don't feel the presence of God, that is not God actually leaving you. What that is Satan trying to convince you that God's not there. In other words, he's trying to do this. Satan is attempting to make you blind to the presence that God is there, even though you don't feel that God is there. Okay? You're doing this. God, I can't feel your presence anymore. What's going on? What's happening? And God's there going, my son, my daughter, take the blinds off. Open your eyes. I'm right here. If you pay attention, I'm right here. I haven't gone anywhere. I'm not going to go anywhere. Okay? That's what's going on. But you're not seeing because Satan is messing with your emotions to where you're not sensing God being there. Okay? And that at the same time, God is allowing it in order to test you to not be dependent upon what you feel, but to be dependent on what God has said. God says, I will never leave you. In other words, he's saying, I'm never going to be away from you. I'm never going to be gone. In other words, he's saying, no matter what you feel, whether you feel I'm there or not, I'm always there. Okay? Woo! Powerful. I will never leave you. But it goes on to say even more than that. I will never forsake you. Now, that's not a word we commonly use. So, when I see the word forsake, I think turn my back on. Okay, turn my back on. Okay, and I looked up what the word forsake means. Forsake means to abandon. Okay, which is right what it said before. Okay, I will never leave you nor forsake you. So why? So the question becomes, why would it say, I will never leave you and abandon you? Why would it say the same thing twice, basically? If abandon is the same as leaving you, why would it say the same thing twice? Okay? And I believe it to mean, and I believe the reason is because leave is what you sense, right? And forsake is what God has done. Okay? So that's how I look at it. When it says, I will never leave you, it's saying, I will never, even though you may feel like I'm not there, I will never walk away. Okay? I will never walk away. You can trust that I'm always there, right? And then the forsake part means to turn, desert, abandon, leave, quit. Is other words that are very similar to forsake. So, I will never quit on you. I will never give up on you, for example. I will never desert you. I will never take you any place in your life. I will never take you any place in your life where I'm just going to leave you there and walk away. Okay? There are many other words. Renounce. Turn away from. Renounce. If I'm renouncing my faith, what am I doing? I'm abandoning my faith, right? Give up. Relinquish. To hand over. To hand over. Okay? Many words that are connected to that. Okay? Another word very similar to forsake. Leave behind. Okay? Leave behind. God's never going to leave you behind. Okay? Next verse. Psalms. By the way, this has quite a few pages. Psalms 27 verse 1. Psalms 27 verse 1. Okay? Psalms 27, verse 1. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? Very simple. If the Lord is my light of my life and my heart and my soul, meaning He's the light that shows me where to go, in other words, and He's my salvation, right? Then why should I be afraid of anybody? Why should I fear anyone? Okay? Whom shall I fear? Whom shall I be afraid of? Okay? Should I be afraid of my kid's mama? Absolutely not. Should I be afraid of my next door neighbors? Absolutely not. Should I be afraid of my landlords? What they can do? Absolutely not. The Lord is the stronghold. Okay, so another keyword. A stronghold, okay, definition, a stronghold definition, listen to this, is a place that has been fortified so as to protect it against attacks. Means it's attack proof. You can't attack it. You can attack it, but you can't get anywhere. So think of it like this. God is my place where I can go in my life where the enemy cannot touch me. Okay? Where the enemy is unable to get to me. Okay? Of whom shall I be afraid? So then you might ask yourself the question, okay, well, I've trusted in God before, but then I end up something happening and Satan still gets me. Why did that happen if I'm in the stronghold? It's very simple. It's very simple. In that example, right, you were here. Okay, you're here. Satan attacks you, right? Okay? Satan attacks you. You're listening, you're choosing, okay, I'm going to listen to God. So now you're stepping into the stronghold, right? Okay? But then you decide to step out of the stronghold, and that's when Satan attacks you again. See, Satan hasn't attacked you while you're in the stronghold. Satan can't do that. Satan can only attack you when you step out of the stronghold. Another version would be like this. Okay? You're a lamb, right? God has put a fence, which is the boundaries that He set according to the Bible, right? Inside of that fence, you are perfectly safe. Satan can never touch you. Okay? He can't even mess with you. He can't mess with your mind. He can't mess with your heart. He can't mess with you whatsoever. It's only when we are curious or we are disobedient to step out or jump over the fence into the other areas. And a lot of times, so maybe the fenced off area that God has grass for you to eat, right? Or gifts or things that God has put in your life, but they're not the very best looking ones. You know what I mean? So maybe God has brought someone in your life that's not the very most gorgeous person, but they're a person who loves you, right? But then you look on the outside of the fence and you see this person over there going, oh, wow, look how hot they are. The grass looks greener over there, right? That's meant to entice you to step out of the fenced off area. And the moment you do that, that's where the traps are. That's where you fall into danger. Let me put it this way. In the palm of God's hands, right, you can never be in danger. It's when you leave God's hands of your own choice or of temptation. You get tempted, right? You get tempted to leave. Satan can tempt you to leave. Even when you're in the stronghold, he can tempt you. Just like if you have a wall, right? Let me put it this way. Think of it like this. You're in your house, right? You have your door closed, right? Right? You have your door closed. You're safe. The person outside your house can't break in if you have all the locks on, right? But that doesn't mean that the person on the other side of the door can't stand there yelling through the door to where they can to where you can hear them. Okay? They can still try to influence you to leave the house. Understand? Okay? Now, that's Psalms 27:1. Now let's dig to the next page, okay? Romans 8:15. Romans 8:15. Romans 8:15. For you did not receive a spirit that makes you a slave again to fear. Very simple. God did not give you a spirit that let me translate this. Hold on. God did not give you a spirit when you became saved that leads you to become a slave to fear again. Okay? But you received a spirit of sonship. Sonship is you have received a spirit of adoption. Okay? And with that adoption, just like when you're adopted into a family, guess what happens? You get the last name, right? You're now part of the family. You're now same as blood. Okay? If you are adopted, you are the same as blood. So we are the same to God as Jesus Christ is. Okay? All right? So, you have a spirit of sonship, of boldness, and that comes with everything with the territory. So basically, everything that God gave to Jesus when Jesus was on the earth, the approval, the I'm so proud of you, I'm so happy with you, I love you, I adore you, I want to bless you. Everything that God gave to Jesus, the moment Jesus died on the cross, God also gave that to us when well, let me put it this way, actually. I have to rephrase that. The moment Jesus died, God opened the door for the offer to be given to you. In other words, God's standing there with the offer of, here's everything I want to give to you, right? But it's up to you to walk up to God and take it. It's up to you to walk up to God and receive it. So if I want to give a gift to someone, right? I want to give a gift to them. I can put out my hands with the gift. But if they don't take the gift out of my hands, they're not going to receive what I have, regardless of whatever I say, regardless of my intentions, regardless of how much I try to give the gift. If they haven't received it, it's not going to make a bit of difference. Okay? Next verse, John 14:27. John 14:27. Okay? John 14:27. Okay? Is the verse. Peace I leave with you. Peace I give to you, in other words. Peace I leave with you. And my peace I give to you. So, peace I leave with you in your life. Peace. Okay? And this is not the peace of you're always going to get along with people. They're always going to agree with you. They're always going to see things your way, or God's way, or even God's way for that matter. Okay? This is a peace that surpasses all understanding. This is a peace of your heart. Again, this is a peace that's not dependent on your circumstances being good or bad. Okay? I do not give to you as the world gives to you. Okay? I do not give you as the world gives. I do not give you something that's completely dependent on your emotions or on your situations. Okay? Do not let your heart, another action word, here it is again. Do not. You need, in other words, you need to not let your heart be troubled, be bothered, in other words, and do not let your heart be afraid. The verse basically says this one, do not let your hearts be troubled and do not be afraid. I gave the Kevin translation. I gave the Kevin translation for you. Do not let your hearts be bothered by anything, and do not let yourself be controlled by fear. Kevin translation. Okay? Next verse. Let me just look back and make sure we didn't cover it before. Okay. Psalms 23, verse 4. Psalms 23, verse 4. Now this is a big one. Psalms 23, verse 4. Okay? Is this verse. Very very significant verse that many people may know or at least have heard of. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. Okay? So let's break that down with the Kevin translation. Okay? Do not be do not be controlled or filled with fear of people who can kill your body. But they oh I'm reading the wrong verse, oh my gosh. I'm reading the next verse to come. I gave the right verse, but then when I started breaking it down, I read the wrong verse. That's so funny. Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm cracking up. My sides are cracking up. Oh, ooh. Wow. Okay. Let me try this again. Kevin translation. Even though, in other words, in spite of, even though, basically mean, even though my circumstances are bad, or even though my situation is bad, or even though my my life is difficult at this point. So when you see even though, it's basically meaning even though there are problems. Okay? Even though even though you walk through the valley of the shadow of death. In other words, valley of the shadow of death, you can translate that to basically be problems in your life, situations in your life that are not good. Okay? Circumstances in your life that are not good. Okay? Even though I walk through difficult or hard or tough situations or circumstances or problems, I will choose the word I will, right? The word I will being something you have to choose. Notice this. Even though I walk, I choose to walk. I walk. Even though I walk, a manual thing that you have to do. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will. Another action word. I love how often God gives us words of actions that we actually have to do. God's not going to pick you up and manually move you. He's going to make you walk on your own with Him by your side. Okay? But you're still going to have to get your butt up and walk that path yourself. And you still have, and then the second part, I will fear no evil. I will choose to not let fear control me. Even though fear is going to exist in my life from time to time, I will choose not to let fear control me. Okay? All right? So, action word. I will fear no evil. Okay? Now, this is more referring to evil. I will fear no evil of man. I will fear no evil of Satan, or no evil of the demons, or no evil of anything bad. Okay? For you are with me. Now, so now it's saying, not only am I telling you what not to fear and why you shouldn't fear, but now I'm going to tell you why you shouldn't fear. For I am with you. Okay? I am with you. Now, this was something I did years ago, and I haven't done it in a while, but it's a really good thing. Anytime that you're feeling fearful, close your eyes and imagine, okay, that you're standing there in the situation that you're in, okay, and behind you is your big brother that's 50 feet tall, 100 feet tall, and he's standing there with his hand on your shoulder going, don't worry, I got you. Okay? That's a little tactic. It might help to comfort you and give you some strength. Okay? The next part that we have to break down is your rod and your staff. What does that translate to mean? Your rod and your staff. Loosely translated, the Kevin translation would be you disciplining me and you guiding me with rules. Those things will comfort me. Okay? So your rod is loosely translated. What is a rod? What is a rod? A rod is usually something when you think of discipline, right? Your rod. I'm going to think of it like this. Rod could loosely be translated to mean switch, right? Switch or paddle. Okay, so when I see rod, I think God's disciplining of us, right? So your rod is going to comfort me, meaning your disciplining of me is going to give me comfort in my life. It might not be easy to go through, but it's going to protect me and keep me from difficult situations, right? And then your staff, what is a staff? Think about what God is, the good shepherd, right? Shepherd, shepherd. Shepherds always have what? A staff. A staff, okay? And the staff that a shepherd uses is for many different things. It's for defense and it's for offense. A shepherd would use the staff, right? He would use it for defending the flock. If a dog or a wolf tried to attack the sheep, he would swat it away with the staff, right? Okay. Or if something would happen, he would use that staff in many different situations to you know, he could use it in so many different things. He can point it at the sheep and be like, hey, 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 you know, move back. You need to move back or something. Okay. So when I see rod and staff, I think rod is your discipline side of God, where he's disciplining you for something you've done, or disciplining you for going the wrong way or something, and he's trying to guide you back on the right path. Whereas a staff is God's leading of you, the Holy Spirit leading you. So the way I look at it is when I see staff, I see God is the shepherd, the staff is the Holy Spirit that God is giving you to help lead you, okay, to help give you guidance, okay. They comfort me. Now, that's just my loose translation, okay. That's what it says to me, okay. Anyway, I'm not saying it's 100% correct, but I do know rod is usually something used for disciplining. That part I know. And staff, that's just my thoughts, by the way. So that's why I said that's the Kevin translation. Okay. Next is Matthew 10:28. Matthew 10:28. Matthew 10:28. Okay. And this is the verse this is what I said to you before. So we're going to actually say the verse now that I gave earlier to you when I recited it. Okay. Matthew 10:28. Do not be afraid of those who can kill the body, but cannot kill the soul. Rather, be afraid of the one who can destroy both soul and body in hell. Okay? So it's basically telling you, whom shall you fear? So if the world says, in the coming years, if the world says, right, bow to the beast, take the mark of the beast, so you can buy your food, so you can sell, so that you can get money, so that you can work, so that you can pay your bills. Because remember, the mark of the beast is going to be something that you have that's going to allow you to buy food, buy things, pay your bills, do everything like that, right? So should you be afraid of that, of not being able to do that? Or should you be afraid of, okay, if I do this, I'm going to hell. If I bow down to the beast and take this mark, I'm going to hell. You get the point, okay? Next verse, making sure I haven't said it already. Okay. Next verse, Isaiah 41:13. Isaiah 41, verse 13. Isaiah 41, verse 13. Okay? For I am the Lord, your God. I am the Lord, your God. Okay? Who takes hold of you, who takes hold of your right hand, and says to you, do not fear, I will help you. So think of it like this. God is your parent, right? What do parents do when children need help? Come here, give me your hand. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay, little one. It's okay. I will help you. Okay? You understand? God takes hold of your hand. Okay. Now there's not many verses where I see God doing something, manually doing something, when you're going through it. Most of the time, it's do not this, do not that, do something you have to do, right? This is one of the verses where God's telling you what He's going to do. For I, the Lord, am the Lord who takes hold of your hand. I will take hold of your hand, and I will say to you, do not fear. I will help you. Okay? Wow. Big verses. Next verse. Proverbs 19:23. Proverbs 19:23. Okay, so now we're dealing with a different kind of fear. Okay? This is not the fear of man. This is not the fear of evil. This is not the fear that consumes you. Okay? It is the good fear. Is the next one. Proverbs 19:23. The fear of the Lord is respect, honoring. So when you're respecting and honoring the Lord, you are actually fearing the Lord. But not the fear that we're thinking of. A lot of times we think fear the Lord, right? I'm fear the Lord. So when you think fear, oh, I'm afraid of the Lord. God's going to strike me down with a lightning bolt. That's the fear that, no. The fear of the Lord, right, is a reverence, a respect, a honor, a dignity to, right? So if you have fear of the Lord, it's you have respect for the Lord. You have honor for the Lord. And you have dignity for the Lord. You greatly honor and respect Him and what He wants. Okay? So think of it this way. Okay? Think this would be the Kevin translation of the first part of this verse. Okay? My high respect and honor of the Lord leads to life. It leads to good things. Okay? Then one rests content. Okay? And it's talking about when you have respect and honor and fear of the Lord in that way, right? It leads to good things. It leads you down good paths, right? And the person who follows this is going to be content. They're going to be contented with what they have, okay? And they will be untouched by trouble. What does that mean, untouched by trouble? Does that mean that they will never deal with trouble? No. It means trouble will never be able to negatively affect them, okay? Untouched means unaffected. If I'm untouched by you, it means I'm unaffected by you. It doesn't mean that you're not doing something. Okay, so you could stand there and cuss me out all day, right? But if I'm untouched by your words, that means I'm not letting your words affect me. Okay, understand that. Okay. Next verse, Psalms 118 verse 6. Psalms 118 verse 6. Okay. Psalms 118 verse 6. The Lord is with me. I will not be afraid. What can man do to me? Very simple verse. Very simple. The Lord is with me. He's never going to leave me or forsake me. I will not be afraid. Another action word of something you have to do. You have to choose not to feed fear. Okay? What can man do to me? Man can do a lot, but they can't do everything. Okay? Next verse. Isaiah 35:4. Isaiah 35 verse 4. Okay? Isaiah 35:4. Sorry, Isaiah 35 verse 4. Isaiah 35 verse 4. Okay? Now here's another action word, something you actually have to do again. But now it's pouring out of now it's very different because now it's connected to not just affecting you, but affecting others around you. So listen to this. Say to those that you meet, meaning say to people that have fearful hearts, okay, be strong. Be strong. So now you're passing on what God's given to you to them. Be strong. Do not fear. Your God will come. Your God will come. He will come with vengeance. In other words, he will come with revenge. So let me put it this way, okay? You might say, oh, I have to get revenge on this person. They did wrong to me. I have to pay them back. I have to make them feel what I feel, right? That's you taking revenge yourself, which is opposite of what God says. God says, vengeance is mine, says the Lord, right? Means it's not your place to get back at the person who's done you wrong, okay? He will come with vengeance. It is him who will do the paying back. So if someone does you wrong and takes from you, right, it is God who will pay them back for their deeds, not you. Or it's not supposed to be you. A lot of times, though, people still do that. They go, oh, I have to pay this person back. Okay? This is why it's not your place to get even with the person, regardless of what they've done. Regardless of what they've done. Okay? With divine retribution, in other words, with holy revenge, he will come to save you. So here's why you shouldn't take revenge yourself. What you can do to pay the person back is limited, and it may not even work. You might try to, oh, I'm going to make them so mad at me. I'm going to make them so upset because they made me upset, right? And that might not actually work on them. You understand? It may fail. But what God will do to get revenge on them, okay, or revenge to them, or to pay them back for their deeds, right, will always succeed. So let me put it this way. Why would you take the opportunity at a chance for them to be paid back what they've done? Like a tossing of a coin. You toss a coin and go, maybe I get heads, maybe I get tails. Same thing. You're going to try to get revenge on them. Maybe it will work, or maybe it won't. Right? Why would you trust in that and not trust in a 100% of revenge being dealt to the person through God's plans? And God's plans will always be way more effective than yours will. Okay? Next verse. Psalms 94, verse 19. Psalms 94, verse 19. Okay? When anxiety, worry, stress, okay? They're all connected. Okay? So when you see this verse that says when's anxiety, you can put in it when anxiety, when stress, when worry. You can replace anxiety with all those other words that are connected to it. Okay? By the way, my phone is 15% battery, so I might have to do a part 2 for this. Okay? I might have to do a part 2. Okay? And if it does happen, it will be momentarily. I will switch to the different phone or figure something else out. Okay? I don't know how good the connection is going to be, but we're going to continue with this. Okay? So, when anxiety was great or large within me, right? Your consultation. Okay? So what is consultation? Consolation. Okay? So what is consolation? Okay? I looked at it as consultation, but consolation. Okay? What is consolation? The definition of the word consolation, so you understand it. Consolation. The comfort received by a person after a loss or disappointment. Okay? So a consultation, translation. When anxiety or worry or stress was great within my heart, you comforting me, Lord, brought joy to my soul. You giving me comfort and choosing to comfort me at those times brought joy to my soul. It may not have fixed the situation, but it brought comfort to my soul. Okay? Next verse, and I'm going to keep an eye on the battery. Okay? Hebrews 13, verse 6. Hebrews 13, verse 6. Now this is tied to fear. Okay. Hebrews 13, verse 6. So we say, another action word, something we have to do, with confidence, with boldness. The Lord is my helper. I will not be afraid. Again, another choice word. I say with confidence, choice. I will not be afraid, choice. What can man do to me? Thinking. Okay? That's the verse. You're choosing what to feed in your mind. You're choosing what to feed in your heart. And the verse for that is Psalms, the one before was Psalms 94, verse 19. Okay? She got the verse wrong. Okay, let me say those again so she can get it right. Psalms 94, verse 19 for that one before. And then the one we just did was not Hebrews 9:6. It was Hebrews 13:6. Hebrews 13:6. Okay? So Hebrews 13:6. Okay? And don't worry, later on I will delete the wrong comments that are incorrect. Or she could do it herself. Either one. Okay? Let me check the battery. We are on 13%. We are good for a moment. Okay? Next verse. Okay? Deuteronomy 3:22. Deuteronomy 3:22. Okay? Do not be afraid of them, meaning people. The Lord your God himself will fight for you. So now this is taking it a step further. When you trust in God and choose not to be afraid, God is going to defend you and fight on your behalf. Okay? So it's like this. You have gotten into a fist fight with the devil. Okay? And you can choose to be afraid of the devil. Oh, the devil is across from me. Wow, look how big the devil is, right? But when you choose to not be afraid, when you choose to stand up with boldness and say, I'm a Christian, I'm going to stand for the ways of God, regardless what people do, right? The Lord jumps into the ring, into the boxing ring with you. And now it's 2-on-1. Now it's you and God versus the devil. And in that case, devil always loses. Okay? And we're going to try and go as far as we can with the battery until it gets very low. Okay? Next verse. Proverbs 12:25. Proverbs 12:25 is that verse. Proverbs 12:25 is the next verse. Okay? An anxious heart. Again, anxious, worry, stressful. Any of those words will work. Okay? An anxious heart weighs a man down. It brings your heart down. Okay? So stress, anxiety, worry will weigh your heart down. It will weigh your soul down. Okay? But a kind word cheers him up. Now this is referring to a kind word from another person, or even a kind word from God will cheer you up. Okay? How many times have you been afraid, worried, stressed, and out of the blue something happens? Whether it's a video you've seen that's made you laugh, or your cats or your animal comes up and starts snuggling with you out of the blue when they don't normally do that, or whether it's your child does something funny or silly to uplift you, right? That's the point. A kind word or a kind action cheers you up. It brings you out of that valley. Understand? Okay? Next verse. Mark 5:36. Mark 5:36. Mark 5, verse 36. Ignoring what they said, Jesus told the synagogue ruler, do not be afraid, just believe. So basically what's going on is one of the synagogue rulers, right, asked a question or something. okay, or something like that. And Jesus chose to ignore what they said, okay, what they were saying. They were asking all types of questions, or belittling God, or belittling Jesus, or arguing with him, or trying to this that, ignoring what they said. Ignoring what they said, Jesus told the synagogue ruler, "Do not be afraid, just believe." And I have to imply that this is probably a synagogue ruler who was actually seeking after what the truth of the Bible was. Okay? But even if it wasn't, even if it was someone that was sinful, right? He's still trying to notice something. He's still trying to instruct even those who are led the wrong path. Do not be afraid, just believe. Believe means trust in. Okay? Next verse. Okay? Psalms 56 verse 3. Psalms 56 verse 3. Now, hold on. Let me, before you write that down in the comments, let me double check, make sure because I think I've said that one before. Yep. We don't have to go there. So you don't need to write that one down. Because we read before Psalms 56, 3 and 4. So we don't need she did it anyway. Okay, well, we're not going to recap that one because we covered that one when we covered the Psalms 56, 3 and 4. Okay. Next verse. John 14, verse 1. John 14, verse 1. Okay? John 14, verse 1. This is not one that we read, so you can go ahead and put it in the comments. John 14, verse 1. Do not let your hearts be troubled. It's basically saying you need to not let your heart be bothered. Okay? Trust in God. Trust in His ways. Trust also in me. So it's saying trust in God and what He said in the Bible, and also trust in me, which is trust in Jesus and trust in the Holy Spirit. Okay? Okay? Okay. Next verse. Isaiah 12 verse 2. Isaiah 12 verse 2. Isaiah 12 verse 2. Okay, 9% battery. Okay. Isaiah 12 verse 2. Surely God is my salvation. Surely, meaning God has to be my salvation. Okay? And by the way, that's Isaiah 12 2. We just got it in the comments. Thank you. Surely God is my salvation. I will trust and not be afraid. So first of all, it's reminding yourself, God has to be my salvation. God is my salvation. It's reminding yourself of something good. Then it's saying what you will manually do. I will choose to trust in God, and I will choose not to be afraid. Okay? You are in control of your emotions. This is why I don't like when people say, they made me mad, they made me upset, this person made me do this person made me feel that, this person made me feel this. No, you're in control of your emotions. It was you who let them affect you. Okay? Let me say it this way. Words only have power, and not just words, actions, okay? Words and actions only have power when you give it power. Okay? So think about it like this. If you're in school and a bully is bullying you, right? The bully is looking for your response. He's looking, right? He's looking for what he's doing to negatively affect you. Okay? But you have the right to choose to either let the bully affect you negatively, right? By getting mad, leave me alone, stop bothering me, right? He's gotten what he's wanted. Now that's more fuel for the fire that he's producing. That's just going to feed into his bullying of you, okay? Whereas in them bullying you and you not feeding into that, okay, and ignoring them, right? Or not giving power to what they're doing, okay, that is you denying the fire. You're denying feeding the fire. You're choosing not to give fuel to the fire. Okay? The next part of this verse says, the Lord is my strength and my song. Okay? He has become my salvation. The Lord is my strength. It's where I draw my power. And it's my song. It's where I draw my joy and my happiness from. Okay? He has become my salvation. He has become my saving grace. He has become what I am saved by, in other words. Okay? We are on 7%. So we got maybe one or two more verses. Then I'm going to have to switch devices. Okay? Next verse. Psalms. Wait, hold on. Yep. Psalms 34, verse 7. Psalms 34, verse 7. Okay? Psalms 34, verse 7. Okay? The angel of the Lord, right? The angel of the Lord. And in the Old Testament, the angel of the Lord usually actually represents the Lord himself. Okay? The angel of the Lord encamps. The word encamps means, it's a military term, and it means you're tenting or you're choosing to stay, right, around the enemy or around whatever it is. So, like, for example, if I'm encamping, right, around a building, then I'm choosing to tent or to stay put around. So, an example of encamping, right, someone that's encamping, is those people that they go in line and get in line for a concert, right? I could try and bring you on, but we won't be on for very long. Okay? Not on this device anyway. Oh, it just hit 5%. Okay, so I'm gonna have to finish this up, and if it does join you, I'm gonna have to add you on to the next one. Anyway, so as I was saying, the word encamping would be the equivalent of those people that go to concerts, right, or to movies, and they want the ticket, so they camp out the night before in front of the booth so that they get the very first ticket. Okay, they encamp, they stay. Okay, the angel of the Lord stays around the people who fear him, who have a healthy respect and honor and admiration for him, a high respect, and he delivers them from their problems. Okay, guys, thank you for this. This is part 1. We will be coming back with part 2 when I switch devices, because this is on 5% battery and I have to save this before it gets done. Okay, thank you. I'll see you soon.